Okay, so now that we've learned about new types of lists, we're actually going to add these into our class project. So if you haven't done so already, I need you to open up project1.html in your computer. And we're actually going to now add in an unordered list to our web page. And we're going to add in a definition list with hours for different particular classes. So we're going to use those tags we just discussed and then view them in the browser window. So here we're going to start by creating an unordered list. So remember, the unordered list uses the UL tag with an opening and closing tag, and then any list item inside it uses the LI tag. Now, something to note is that this just creates the actual bullets. It doesn't actually create some sort of label. So if we want something like a label saying what this list represents, we need to use heading. So this time we're going to use the H2 heading because it's not quite as important as this H1 heading up here. This is a heading for a list. So we're going to write our services include tutors for the following courses. And then from here, we can close that H2 tag. And now we have an actual title, basically, or a heading for our list. And then from here, we can do our unordered list. Something to note about our unordered list is that we want all of these list items indented. And the reason we want all these list items indented is so it makes our code easier to read. So here you see we have our heading for our list. You see we have our actual list opened and closed. And then you can see all of our list items on the inside. Another thing to note that's just good practice as you make your HTML documents is I left an open space here just to kind of distinguish, well, this is the opening paragraph. Now this heading belongs with this list with these list items. So now if I save my project, so I did Control S, and I click Run in Chrome, what I will see is now I have this H2 heading right here, and then I have an unordered list of the 3 items that I added to my list. So you need to add these into your program as well. So if you need to pause the video in order to do so, you can add that code right in, but you need to now have not only the first portion, but a title for your list and then a list of the courses that this particular tutoring company will tutor for. Okay, so from here, we're actually now going to add in a definition list. So we saw in the previous video that a definition list contains a term and a definition. So here again, you see that we're using an H3 heading this time instead. So we're going to use that third heading to dictate, okay, well, this now kind of goes along with the previous list and shows the hours that they have. So we have a definition list, and something to note is I have an opening tag for my definition list, and I also have a closing tag for my definition list. And then inside of this, I have definition term and definition pairs. So here I'm saying Math 141 is open on these dates. Accounting 200 is open on these dates. Economics is open on these dates. There's a pair of everything. There's the term followed by its definition, the term followed by its definition. So you want to make sure you have a DT followed by a DD tag every time. And again, something to note is I want these all indented so I can clearly see that they are inside in a portion of that definition list. So I can see I have those pairs all inside and they're indented right inside that definition list. So again, if I do Control S and I save my document, I go to Run in Chrome, and now I can see that definition list in action. I can see there's my H3 followed by my list with all my terms offset to the left, and then all of my definitions are indented one tab over. So I've now added in a definition list, I've added in an unordered list, and my website is starting to look a little bit nicer. Now, something cool that you learned in the previous videos is that lists, especially the unordered and the ordered lists, have attributes that can actually change the type. So if we look right here, if we run this program, this is currently a disk. That's the default. But we can actually change this to a different type. So if we do type equals, and I do something like square. I've done type equals square, and I save it. Now, if I were to reload this web page, because it's going to run right in Chrome, if I reload it, you'll notice that those changed now to squares. I could also change these to open circles. So if I do Control S again and I reload the page, they change. So I can change the type of list or unordered list or ordered list that I'm using by using this type attribute here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use the square. I can save it, then I can reload the page, and there I can see that change pretty instantaneously. So I've added that piece in. So now we viewed that in the browser. We now know what that looks like. So you should now know how to add various lists into your program, and you should feel all set to kind of try and do a project on your own. Now, the last thing that I want to make sure you know how to do is I want to make sure that you know how to add in a horizontal line, and those are actually coming up in the next lesson. So you can see here, I'm going to give you a preview. We're going to do some images. We're going to do horizontal lines as well. We're going to do some background colors. That's what's coming up next. So kind of keep in mind we have a couple more videos to go. You should now know how to do paragraphs and headings, breaks, and lists, and we're going to add in horizontal rules, images, and backgrounds in the next videos.